Welcome to the Market Mystics podcast, where we discuss what's happening in the cryptosphere and trading on Earth as it is in heaven. Buckle up and huddle on while we dive in and get weird. Here are your hosts, Joshua and Kim.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Thursday. If you've been following us, we've had quite a few interviews lately, and the episodes have been a bit longer. They've been amazing. I've really enjoyed them. But at least for a few episodes, we're back to just Kim and I, and probably a little bit shorter. So I hope you enjoy that as well. What's going on today, Kim?
Not a whole lot, except I just noticed the picture behind me fell off the wall.
It does look a bit lower than it did before.
It is a bit lower and a little crooked, and it left a little ribbon. So if you're on the video, here's real life.
Just ignore that. Kim is moving into a new office. It's not quite fully set up yet, but it'll be great. It's going to look good. I'm still in my virtual coffee shop because my office isn't set up, so I can't say anything about it.
We're a work in progress. That's what we'll say about it. This is the mystical part of our episode. We're a work in progress.
That's true.
Probably always will be.
That's possible. All right. Well, let's get into some market updates. We have Bitcoin, the number one coin, down almost 4% over 24 hours, but it's up 3.5% over 7 days, trading at 17,419. It's nice to see it holding above 17. Ethereum, the number two coin, down 5.3% over 24 hours, up 3% over 7 days, currently trading at 1,269. I did want to mention that I pulled this original document from a show we did 10 days ago, and these numbers were almost the same. So
funny.
It's kind of gone up and down a little bit, but it's really just stayed pretty consistent to where it has been. The top mover in the top 100 is the number 45 coin, BSV, or Bitcoin SV. It is up 4.8% over 24 hours, 18.9% over 7 days, currently trading at $48.11. Bitcoin SV is a hard fork of the Bitcoin Cash blockchain that was created in 2018. So Bitcoin Cash is the fork from Bitcoin, and Bitcoin SV is a fork from Bitcoin Cash. So their website says that they strive to maintain the original protocol and design of Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper, which I don't know. They made some comments in there about, Bitcoin is now a trading instrument, and we don't want to be that. And I think that's how people are using it. I don't know that, I don't know that I have great thoughts towards that, but that is the top mover in the top 100.
It's a funny thing. I mean, isn't any currency simply traded? Like, usually, maybe not on an exchange. Right. Well, always on an exchange.
Always on an exchange.
It's not an institution always. Yeah. But I could trade you my clamshells for your donkey.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's an exchange.
When I read their about us section, I was just kind of like, it just kind of seemed a little bit spiteful. And I was like, I don't know. I haven't researched anything about them. Don't know anything about them. Other than they have moved almost 5% in 24 hours. So,
and they hard forked off the hard fork.
Yeah, that's right. Oh. All right. Well, let's dive into today's episode. Kim, do you want to give an overview of the topic, or just dive into some thoughts that you have?
Sure. I'll give maybe some premise. So this is a topic we were going to talk about a few weeks ago, maybe.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember what the episode wound up being about, but it kind of just took on its own identity and did something, which was fine. It wound up being a good conversation and everything. but it's kind of come up again. And honestly, Josh and I have been doing a lot of seeking lately, and this topic is continually coming up in our lives.
Yeah.
Um, but some of it has also been reignited with all of the drama in the crypto news over exchanges. Just like the FTX stuff and how it is pretty much just imploded on itself. If we rewind back to like February when we had the Super Bowl, if you remember, FTX was like the big up and coming, and then they really did start making big moves. And I don't know, they're like the second largest exchange in the world. And they held there for a while.
Yeah.
And then we've seen this huge downfall of it, right?
Yeah, they had
And
all sorts of celebrity endorsements, all sorts of marketing, and just, a lot of really big things that happened with them.
that actually lent, like some of it obviously had to be a facade, but some of it really lent itself to some legitimacy,
Yeah.
which also speaks a little bit of the season we're in with cryptocurrency. However, this week, then now there's new news. So they've arrested the CEO of FTX Monday, I think. He was in the
Yeah. A
Bahamas.
couple days. Yeah.
And then now all of a sudden there's all this scrutiny with Binance.
hmm
And the US government in particular is looking at filing charges against Binance as a company, as well as some other key players like their CEO,
Mm.
who's known as CZ. And it just kind of lends itself to the conversation about where you hold your assets
Mm.
and who you allow to um, hold the value for you,
Yeah.
maybe.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of this that was maybe stirred from some conversations we had with Herman, and just conversations we've had on our own. I mean, I don't know, maybe 8 months ago, we had a conversation on like the different types of wallets and where you can hold your crypto, and um, just kind of really went into some of these things. And it is, I think what you're seeing now is a pretty good shaking of crypto. And this is what I kind of where my heart was with this episode was you're seeing a shaking of crypto, and the further you are from the original thing, the harder the shaking is. It's just like pulsing out from it. And so you see that with like these exchanges that are several steps removed from the product itself. They're simply a platform that allows you to interact with other people using that instrument, not actually the crypto itself. And they're getting shaken pretty hard because some of them were, I mean, crypto forever has been known as having like Ponzi schemes and rug pulls, and because it was new and it was very volatile, it lent itself um, to people who took advantage on people who hadn't educated themselves on crypto or didn't know any better. And even things like FTX, like it had the appearance of having significant legitimacy.
Mhm.
And now there's people. I saw a headline the other day that said, like, Tom Brady potentially lost $100 million in FTX. And I know Kevin O'Leary has been, I feel like in front of Congress, maybe. I don't remember exactly what branch, but he's been in front of a political court testifying about the money that he lost through them, and his
Mhm.
role in helping advertise for the platform. And um, so it gave all appearance of being legitimate, all while at the same time running some pretty shady behind the scenes things.
Right.
And that's tough. But where my heart is how close can I get to the original thing?
Mm,
And what came to my mind during that when I was like talking with Father about this was, when we talk about diets, it doesn't really matter what type of diet you do, the closer you can eat your food to its original state, the healthier in general it is for you.
mhm.
Um, it's just, it's like vegetables. Typically the least amount you cook them, the better they are. Like the more nutrients they have, like fruits the same way. It's just, and a lot of meat is similar, and it's just like the closer you can get it, the least additives that are in it, the generally the healthier it will be for you.
Mm,
And so it makes me think about our conversation with Herman about, hey, I want to be deep in Bitcoin. I want to be involved in mining and running a node, and I want to have my money on a decentralized wallet that is as close to the original thing as I can keep it.
mm.
And it really, and I know there's a difference because a lot of people who use exchanges use exchanges to actively trade. And a lot of decentralized wallets do not lend themselves well to active trading. Um, so I understand there's a difference because he's not a trader. He's
Holder.
buying and buying and buying and buying and holding, and that's, he's not involved in trading of it.
Mhm.
And so there is a difference in how, what tool is right for you depending on how you are utilizing it. But it just makes me think, man, like, okay, we've got FTX, which at one point was at least in the top five, if not top two of exchanges in the world, now crumbling. We have Binance, the number one exchange by a landslide, feeling pressure, like
Mhm.
even just the reports that they could have charges pressed against them. They saw $3 billion in withdrawals in 24 hours. Like, that's a
That's wild.
significant amount of funds that are withdrawn from them. And due to the fractional reserve share type of banking that most of the world experiences, 3 billion could be all the cash they have on hand. Like that, I don't know. I have no idea what their reserves are, but like, that could really put them under pressure.
Mm,
Um, and because of the fractional reserve share thing that we do, it is possible for users to put companies out of business simply by going and withdrawing in mass numbers. Like,
right.
so even if Binance didn't do anything wrong, if it's found that they didn't do anything wrong, like, no charges are pressed, it's still possible that they could be drastically impacted just because of the reactions of users.
For sure.
And so I don't know. I think this, it just makes me think, okay, I want to be as close to the original as possible. And I want to do that in all areas of my life. I want to be as close to the original use of Bitcoin as possible. I want to be as close to the original intent for my life as possible. I want to eat foods that are as close to the original intent. I want to be as close to the original intent of my relationship with Father as possible. Um, because when shaking comes, it's more stable the closer you are to the original.
That's so interesting. I find it, this is what I was just thinking about when you're talking about um I don't remember, fractional reserve, is that what you called it?
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm very educated in this. Um, I know the concept. I don't know the name of it. And honestly, I only know the concept on a very surface level. However, I find it really interesting that as these exchanges in this, what is supposed to be like cryptocurrency is supposed to be revolutionary. It is changing the scope of money, of currency, of how we exchange value, kind of like the seashells to gold or something, right?
Hmm.
Like just a difference in how things are done. Um, but it's interesting that as they are getting closer and closer to the structure and the system that has already been used for the last couple hundred years, that
Mhm.
now things are starting to fall apart. They're shaking more and they're falling apart. Whereas if they were to keep it closer to the original intent of what the whole blockchain currency innovation has been meant to do, that it becomes more stable, right? Not a stable
Mm.
coin, but you
Right.
look at like these decentralized exchanges, which is what cryptocurrency was meant to be, was decentralized, and
Mhm.
exchanges are essentially centralizing it.
Right.
Um, if you look at the decentralized stuff, it's not being shaken because they don't hold reserves. They
Mhm.
simply exchange from person to person. They are the middleman. They don't
Yep.
hold for you.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But these exchanges are saying, oh, we'll hold your whatever your pool of value is that you are holding, we'll hold that for you. And then what they do with it on the back end, we don't know. We just know that our
Mhm.
balance in our ledger shows that we have 42 Bitcoin. I wish, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
just
and
think it's an interesting thing because it's like so many people are drawn to crypto and then they go right back into the same system that we've always been working in. And that was
yeah.
never the intent of cryptocurrency.
Yeah, it's kind of the challenge with innovation is people want people are resistant to change just in general.
Mm,
Most people are resistant to change. Not everybody. Some people thrive on change. But innovation in general is change. But what we've seen happen with crypto is change, but how close to the old thing can we make it look? And I think the further we get on the road, the further it's like the more shaking it's going to happen to the institutions that are trying to make it the old thing because it
mhm.
wasn't created to be that way. And I don't think it's ever going to properly function if we force it into the box of the old financial system.
I completely agree. And I think I just find it interesting to see these patterns. So we've talked a lot about, we feel like the current financial system is broken,
Mm,
and that honestly, for me personally, I don't know that it can be fixed without complete overhaul. Like
yeah.
tear it down and rebuild from the ground up, and
Mm,
don't use any of the same blueprints. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Which sounds really harsh, but again, I think there are tools being put in place to make a smooth transition for the normal people. There are obviously going to be trailblazers who have to go and like really get the bumpy road and smooth it out.
Mm,
Um, so anyway, I don't think that the current system works. It's just a funny thing to see people see something new that somehow they're drawn to. They step into it, but are only comfortable doing it if it looks and acts like the old thing.
yeah.
It's such a strange thing because I think innately, if you're drawn to it, there's a reason for it. But there's something in our psyche that goes, oh, but it's so unknown and change is scary. So if it can just look
Yeah.
like everything else, then I'll be okay with it, and we'll innovate,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. I had a There is something comfortable about the familiar, and I
Mm.
see that in myself, like,
Oh,
I
for sure.
love the familiar, but I also know that I was created to innovate, and so it's a constant pushing into the unknown, into the uncomfortable, and innovation is destined for to have failure involved in it, like because it's not going you're probably not going to innovate perfectly the first time. And so you have to be comfortable with the concept of trial and error and not really see it as failing. I've heard the concept like failing up, like
Hmm.
you fail quickly, you fail often, and you continue to innovate off of that failure, but it takes a while to develop a mindset that is comfortable with that because many people have a mindset of stability and innovation is challenging to that. And it's hard to shift that. I think you can, but it takes time. It's a process to really shift from a stability employee mindset to more of an entrepreneur, risk tolerant mindset.
I think you're right. And one of the keys to being able to do that, I think, is not tying up your value or your worth in that failure or success.
Yeah,
So you're
exactly.
not doing this for the sake of self. And when you take that out of it, like take your own value, um, like being weighed against this one innovation or this one project or this one step forward, then you can allow yourself, if you allow yourself, to step into a place of rest and abide there.
Yeah,
And as you do that, then failure doesn't matter. Like
yeah,
you can use it as a stair step on the way up,
yeah.
and it doesn't have to wreck you and take you back to level 0 again.
Right.
But a lot of times, if you can't get yourself into a place of rest and you can't abide there, or at least know that place and be able to go there often,
Mm,
then that's when you see like failure completely devastate someone.
yeah.
And I'm speaking of this from a little bit of experience. I am no master of this. For a while, I thought I was mastering it, and then stuff happened to test it. And I was like, oh, well, Kim, you've got a ways to go. But we've had to practice rest amid chaos a
Mm,
lot in the last almost 2 years now. And
yeah.
it's been a lesson. It's been a long lesson that the Lord's been bringing us through. But I think it's so important for what's to come. So when we see kingdom being revealed to the body and starting to be outworked, and if you listen to our last couple conversations with people we've had on, it's remarkable how he's saying the same things to multiple people, different places geographically, different walks, different communities, same thing, same kind of innovation that needs to come. It is kingdom technology. And when he's releasing that stuff, we need to be able to be in a place of rest so that we can actually allow it to flow through us and not clog up the flow, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of it, is taking ourselves out of it. Like, does this define my worth? Does this define my value? It doesn't. Does it still need to go forward? Yes. So I can use this failure as a stair step.
Yeah.
I can keep going.
I think that's key is we talk about this all the time, but where's your source? Where's your source of identity? Where's
Mm.
your source of value? Because if your source of value is in a number in a bank account or the number of Bitcoin that you hold, or if your value is tied up in the success or failure of a business, or a relationship or whatever it is, if your identity and your value is not rooted in rest and rooted in Yahweh, then everything else will impact you drastically. But the closer you are to the source, the less the shaking will shake you, or will knock you off because you're rooted in the source. And I think we're seeing that I think we're seeing parallels of that in all sorts of industries throughout the world. Honestly, COVID has been an excellent, um, tool in creating shaking in the earth, and it's caused people to really evaluate their foundations. And I think that is a positive thing that has come out of it. And I I think my heart is just push into Yahweh, pursue Yahweh, root yourself in Yahweh, find find and practice operating out of a place of rest.
Mm,
And the shaking will happen. Shaking happens all the time, but it won't destroy you.
absolutely. Good stuff.
All right. Well, I think that's all we have for today. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys on Monday.
Thank you for listening. Join us every Monday and Thursday as we discuss trading on earth as it is in heaven. If you want to connect further, follow us on social media at market.mystics for Instagram and TikTok, and search for Market Mystics on YouTube and Facebook. If you still need more, follow the link on Facebook to book a coaching appointment. Until next time, see ya.